Our next question comes from Hypersonic Attack. He's 20 years old. He sent me a pretty long comment about an experience he had sparring. Well, he was about to spar with a guy who was quite a bit bigger, like 100 pounds heavier. And his dad was there ringside coaching him. And he declined to spar with this big, heavy guy because reasons. Understandable reasons. He said fear sunk in. I guess he was worried about getting hurt. That's understandable. The guy had 100 pounds on you. And our friend Hypersonic Attack, I don't think he's that big of a guy. Yeah, man. So they were going to have him fight a dude who's over 6 feet tall. No, 6'9" and 270 pounds. So yeah, they're going to put this guy up against a giant to see this David and Goliath sparring session. And from the sound of it, it wasn't going to be a light and friendly one either. But he said no, and he felt like he disrespected his dad, and he wants to know what he should do now, and if he even belongs in the ring, or if he has any business being a fighter. What your comment made me think of was a story that George St. Pierre shared about a training camp that he went to. He went to this training camp outside of TriStar Gym with Faraz Zahabi, his main coach. And I'm not going to mention the training camp, but he went there, and they were going to have him spar with heavyweights. Their logic was, if you can spar with heavyweights, then surely fighting a welterweight, a guy in your own weight class, is going to feel easy. And George's response to that was basically, screw that, no. Why? Because he's a smart fighter and he understands how fighting works, how the sport of fighting works. Fighting a heavyweight, a guy who outweighs you by like 100 pounds, is so radically different from anything you're going to get as a lightweight or a welterweight or any of those smaller weight classes. They move differently, they hit differently, your whole strategy is going to be different. And if you're able to beat a big, heavy, strong guy, that is not necessarily an indicator that you will be able to handle a smaller guy. There are plenty of big guys out there that I can handle, and teeny tiny guys who have my number on any given day because of relative experience and relative clashes of styles and so on. But at the same time, most really, really big guys pose an imminent danger, and so that fear you felt is a legitimate fear. The fear of a big, heavy guy who has 100 pounds on you, injuring you. And injuries are real, man. They happen all the time in training. I dislocated my shoulder 2 weeks ago in training, doing some light, friendly sparring with a guy that I outweighed. I was the bigger guy, and I'm the one who got hurt. So imagine what a bigger guy on any given day, if luck falls in the wrong direction, can do to you. That's a legitimate fear. So, should you forget about fighting? No, heck no, man. Just because you don't want to spar with a guy several weight classes above you, screw that. The relationship between father and son, man. That's been a mystery to me because I never had that experience as a child. My dad was absent. So, I don't know, man. I hear people talk about it. I see that in the movies, like, oh, I respect my dad so much. I love my dad so much. And to me, I've just always been like, I respect common sense. Your dad is not the one who is going to be stepping in the ring or the cage fighting your fights. One of the most sobering realities I faced as a coach, as a young coach coaching for the first time, sending my fighters into their first pro fight, watching them step in that cage and then they lock it. Yeah, they put a lock on there. And that just sends the message home, there is nothing more you can do except words at this point. You cannot go in there and fight the fight for them as much as you want to as a coach. You want to go in there and hold their hand, and you want to go in there and do all the steps for the guy, but you can't. Because it's not your fight. It's theirs. And you have to respect that. And your father has to respect that too. Take that for what it's worth. Next question.